No one at the party knew who she was. She stood near the entrance, calm, elegant, dressed in a deep emerald gown that hugged her confidence more than her body. Her skin glowed under the crystal lights, her posture steady, her eyes observant. On her arm was a man no one recognized, tall, composed, respected. But across the room a man froze. His glass slipped slightly in his hand. His smile collapsed, because the woman he had hidden for years had finally arrived, and she wasn't alone. For 5 years, Marcus Reynolds lived a double life. To the public, he was a rising star, a successful real estate executive, born into a wealthy family, often featured at elite galas, business conferences, and charity events. His name carried power, his face carried status. But there was one thing Marcus never showed. His wife, Ava Reynolds, a brilliant, soft-spoken, deeply intelligent black woman he married quietly in a courthouse ceremony. No photos, no announcements, no celebration. At first, Ava didn't question it. Marcus said his family was traditional, that his career was fragile, that the timing was not right yet. Just for now, he said. Once things settle, I'll introduce you properly. She believed him. Love does that. Whenever there was a public event, Marcus attended alone. When colleagues asked if he was married, he laughed it off. Too busy for that, he'd say. Ava stayed home, watching him leave in tailored suits, listening to excuses wrapped in charm. At first, she told herself it didn't matter. She didn't need validation from strangers. But over time, silence became heavy. She stopped appearing in photos, stopped being mentioned, stopped being acknowledged. At business dinners, Marcus would text her from across town. Running late, important meeting. He wouldn't enjoy this crowd anyway. What he never said out loud was that he was ashamed, not of her, but of what the world might say. One night, Ava overheard something that changed everything. Marcus was on a call, unaware she was in the next room. She's great, he said casually. Very supportive. Pause. No, she's not public. A laugh. Yeah, you know how it is. Ava didn't cry. She didn't scream. She simply stood there, listening as her existence was reduced to an inconvenience. That night, something inside her went quiet. And when silence arrives like that, it's usually the beginning of the end. Ava began to change. Not loudly, not dramatically. She enrolled in executive leadership programs, expanded her consulting business, started working with clients Marcus had never heard of. She stopped asking permission, stopped waiting. Marcus didn't notice at first. He was too busy preparing for the biggest event of his career, a private anniversary gala hosted by the city's most influential investors. Attendance was by invitation only. This party would decide his future, and Ava received an invitation too, not from Marcus, from someone else. Julian Cole, a philanthropist, a venture partner, a man who saw Ava speak at a private panel months earlier and never forgot her presence. When Julian asked if she'd attend the gala with him, Ava hesitated. Then she smiled. Yes, she said, I'd love to. The night of the party, Marcus arrived early. He shook hands, smiled wide, played the role perfectly. Then the room shifted. Conversation slowed. Eyes turned. Ava entered, not as someone's secret, not hidden, not small. She walked beside Julian, confident, radiant, unafraid. Marcus felt the air leave his lungs. That face, that walk, that woman. His wife, standing in the center of the world he'd locked her out of. Whispers spread like fire. Who is she? She's stunning. Julian brought her. Marcus couldn't move. Julian smiled calmly, greeting investors, introducing Ava with pride. This is Ava Reynolds, he said clearly. An exceptional strategist and partner. Reynolds. The name landed like thunder. Someone turned to Marcus. Reynolds? Isn't that... Marcus forced a laugh. But Ava had already seen him. Their eyes met. No anger, no bitterness, just clarity. Later that night, Marcus approached her. Ava, he said quietly, what are you doing here? She tilted her head slightly. What you never allowed me to do, she replied. Be seen. Julian stepped back, giving them space. Not threatened, not possessive, just respectful. Marcus lowered his voice. This isn't appropriate. Ava smiled. No, she said. What wasn't appropriate was hiding your wife like a secret you were afraid to explain. Marcus tried to speak. Nothing came out. The truth spread quickly. By the end of the night, everyone knew. The rising executive who claimed independence had been married all along. And the woman he hid was the most impressive person in the room. Investors approached Ava. Compliments flowed. Opportunities opened. Marcus stood alone. For the first time, the world saw him clearly too. Weeks later, Ava moved out. Quietly, gracefully, no public drama, just dignity. Marcus called, texted, apologized, but apologies don't undo years of erasure. Ava filed for divorce, not out of anger, out of self-respect. Months later, Ava stood on a different stage, a keynote speaker, introduced with applause. Julian sat in the audience, supportive, not controlling, not hiding her, not afraid of her light. Sometimes people don't lose you because they don't love you. They lose you because they were too afraid to stand beside you when it mattered most. And when a woman stops waiting to be chosen, she chooses herself. The night the gala ended, Ava walked home slowly, letting the city lights wash over her. Every step felt lighter than the last. For years, she had carried the weight of being someone's secret. Tonight she was seen, truly seen, and that feeling, it was intoxicating. She didn't call Marcus. She didn't text him. She didn't need to. His presence lingered like smoke in her mind, but it no longer controlled her. She unlocked her apartment door, stepped in, and allowed herself a small, victorious smile. This was her first real victory, not of anger, not of revenge, but of self-respect. Days of reflection. The following days were quiet but intense. Ava received messages from investors, colleagues, and even strangers who had seen her at the gala. Opportunities were pouring in, each one validating the brilliance Marcus had ignored for so long. She finally understood that hiding her in shadows had not protected her. It had slowed the world's recognition of her talent. She spent mornings at her favorite cafe, sipping coffee while sketching plans for her consulting firm. She began reaching out to her network, assembling a team of professionals who shared her vision. This wasn't just about building a career. It was about reclaiming life that had been paused. Every night Marcus called. Voicemails stacked in her inbox. But Ava did not answer. She read them once, then deleted them. His words no longer had power over her. Marcus's realization. Marcus, on the other hand, was crumbling. The party had been a wake-up call, but not the one Ava had intended to give him. He was forced to see himself, not as the successful executive the world admired, but as a man who had betrayed the one person who mattered most. He spent hours staring at old photographs, invitations, and quiet memories of moments he had minimized or hidden. He remembered Ava's laugh in their apartment, the way she could light up a room just by entering it, moments he'd denied everyone else from witnessing. But remorse without action is empty. Marcus felt trapped, watching Ava thrive without him. He reached out once, asking to meet, but Ava politely declined. She would not meet him to soothe his ego or validate his existence. She had her own life now, Ava's new chapter. Weeks passed. Ava officially launched her consulting firm, Revellair Consulting, a name symbolizing unveiling hidden potential, a subtle nod to her own journey. Her first client was a tech startup struggling to secure funding. With her guidance, the startup not only gained investors but attracted media attention. Ava's reputation grew rapidly. She was no longer Marcus's secret. She was her own person, a force to be reckoned with. And in this new chapter, she realized something important. She didn't need approval to shine. The world would recognize her talent, and she didn't need to hide it behind anyone else's shadow. Marcus attempts reconciliation. Marcus tried again, this time more desperately. He sent flowers, expensive gifts, even letters. He admitted mistakes, apologized publicly, even in subtle social media posts. But Ava had moved on. She read some of the letters, then discarded them. She didn't hate him. She merely understood that forgiveness was not the same as resuming life as if nothing had happened. His attempts only confirmed what she already knew. He wanted control, not equality. Ava's freedom was not negotiable. Unexpected twist. One evening, Ava received a message from Julian Cole. He had been her partner in attending public events and had quietly supported her ambition since the gala. But his message wasn't professional. It was an invitation. Come with me to the charity summit this weekend. Not as my guest, as a co-host. It's time the world sees you in your full glory. Ava smiled. This was exactly the kind of opportunity she wanted. Not because of him, not because of recognition, but because it symbolized that her presence could no longer be ignored. She agreed. The charity summit. The summit was packed with global philanthropists, business leaders, and innovators. Ava walked onto the stage, microphone in hand, and addressed hundreds of people. Her voice was steady, her words carefully chosen. She spoke about empowerment, about leadership, about breaking free from the limits others impose. Cameras captured every word, every confident gesture, and every nuanced smile. Marcus, watching from a distance, felt a pang he couldn't ignore. He realized that he had tried to hide her brilliance out of fear that others might see what he had always known. Ava was exceptional. But it was too late. Ava was unstoppable. Public recognition. Within days, media outlets featured her story. The woman Marcus tried to hide became a trending topic. Interviews, podcasts, and news coverage poured in. Yet Ava didn't seek revenge. She simply shared her truth, her journey, and her insights on leadership and empowerment. Marcus's world crumbled further. People admired him less. They admired Ava more. The irony was undeniable. He had thought hiding her would protect them, but it only magnified her absence and his mistakes. Building a movement. Ava realized that her story could inspire more than herself. She began hosting workshops for women in business, especially those marginalized or overlooked. Each session was packed, not because of her fame, but because of her authenticity. She used her experience to mentor others, teaching them how to demand recognition without apology. She became a symbol of strength, dignity, and unapologetic success. Her company grew, her influence expanded, and her confidence soared. No gala, no man, no social expectation could contain her. Marcus's reflection. Marcus, meanwhile, faced a difficult question. What does a man do when the woman he tried to hide becomes a star without him? He realized that control and secrecy were never true love. He began therapy, attempting to understand his insecurities, his shame, and his fear of social judgment. He wanted redemption, but Ava's life no longer revolved around him. His story became a cautionary tale about pride, fear, and missed opportunities for genuine partnership. Ava finds love on her own terms. Amid the whirlwind of career success and public recognition, Ava did not seek a new relationship. She did not need one. She focused on herself, on her goals, and on nurturing connections that uplifted her. When love appeared, quietly, unexpectedly, and respectfully, it was not to replace Marcus, nor to fill a void. It was a partnership based on equality, mutual respect, and shared vision. Julian remained a supportive friend and collaborator, but Ava's heart was hers to direct. Her life became a testament to independence and self-worth, showing the world that true freedom is choosing yourself first, unapologetically. The lesson. Years later, Ava looked back on the gala. The night she was seen, the night she stepped out of shadows, the night her life truly began. She realized that hiding for anyone else's comfort was never an option. Her journey was about more than revenge or validation. It was about claiming her voice, her presence, and her power. And in doing so, she inspired countless others to do the same. Sometimes people lose the ones they try to hide. And sometimes those people emerge not just seen, but unstoppable. The morning after the charity summit, Ava woke up to sunlight pouring into her apartment. The city below hummed with life, but she felt calm, grounded, and almost untouchable. The summit had been more than a success. It had been a revelation. Messages, emails, and invitations awaited her inbox. Collaborations, speaking engagements, mentorship requests. The world wanted her. But Ava didn't feel overwhelmed. For the first time in years, she felt in control of her own narrative. She walked to the window, looking at the skyline, and thought about how far she had come. Just a few months ago, she had been hidden, unseen, and silenced. Now she was everywhere. And the most beautiful part? She hadn't lost herself in the process. Unexpected encounters. A week later, while reviewing proposals for a new business venture, Ava received a call from an unfamiliar number. Ms. Reynolds. Yes, she said, her voice calm but commanding. This is Eleanor Watts, editor-in-chief of Global Women Leaders magazine. We want to feature you, your story, your journey. The world needs to know who you are. Ava paused, considering. Then she smiled. Let's do it. This was not just an interview. This was validation, not from Marcus, not from the world she had been forced to navigate in silence, but from her own achievements and the recognition she had earned. By the evening, she found herself walking into a sleek, glass-walled office for the interview. Cameras, lights, and microphones were ready. Yet Ava wasn't intimidated. She was ready. She spoke openly about her struggles, her journey, and the years she had spent waiting in shadows. She spoke with dignity, with confidence. With a quiet power that demanded attention, Marcus watches from afar. Meanwhile, Marcus sat in his office, staring at the latest coverage of Ava's success. The headline was bold: "The woman who refused to be hidden, Ava Reynolds redefined success." He scrolled through the photos, her poised stance at the summit, her bright smile at interviews, her professional elegance, each image cut deeper than the last. He realized something he hadn't fully accepted before. Ava had grown beyond his influence. Marcus's pride had once been his armor, but now it felt brittle and exposed. He had tried to control her visibility, thinking it would protect his reputation. Instead, it had revealed his insecurities. And Ava? She had become unstoppable, independent, and undeniably brilliant. Ava expands her reach. Emboldened by media recognition, Ava launched a series of workshops for women executives and entrepreneurs. She named the program Illuminate, a fitting title for someone who had emerged from the shadows into the spotlight. The first session was held in a modern conference hall, filled with women of all backgrounds. Ava shared her experiences candidly, the challenges, the betrayals, and the triumphs. She emphasized self-respect, visibility, and the power of embracing one's worth. The room resonated with her words. Attendees asked questions, shared their stories, and left inspired. Ava realized her mission had shifted. She was no longer only building a career. She was building a movement. Confrontation and closure. One afternoon, Marcus requested a private meeting with Ava. "I just want to talk," he said, sitting across from her in a neutral cafe. Ava studied him carefully. He seemed smaller somehow, diminished by the realization of what he had lost. "I don't know what you want me to say," Ava replied evenly. I need closure," Marcus said. "I need to understand how we got here." Ava took a deep breath. "We got here because you chose comfort over courage. You hid me because you were afraid, and I spent years waiting for someone else's permission to exist in the world. I'm done waiting, Marcus. I'm done hiding. That's your loss, not mine." Marcus swallowed hard, knowing she was right. I wish things had been different." "So do I," Ava said softly, standing up. "But wishing doesn't change the past." And with that, she walked away. Not angry, not resentful, just free. New challenges. Even as Ava's success grew, new challenges arose. Competing firms tried to undermine her initiatives. Investors questioned her methods, doubted her strategies. Social media trolls and critics attempted to diminish her achievements. But Ava met each challenge with clarity and composure. She knew her worth. She knew her vision. She refused to be pulled into petty drama or fear-based decisions. Her resilience inspired her team, who stood by her side. Together, they turned obstacles into opportunities, criticism into lessons, and competition into motivation, mentorship and influence. Ava's influence extended beyond her workshops. She began mentoring young women, particularly those facing systemic barriers in corporate spaces. She created scholarships, networking programs, and mentorship circles. Her personal experience, being hidden, overlooked, and underestimated, gave her unique insight into the struggles others faced. She told her mentees, "Your visibility is your power. Never let anyone dim it for fear, pride, or tradition. Stand tall, be seen, and demand your space in the world." The women she mentored carried her teachings forward, spreading a ripple effect that Ava could never have imagined. She had become more than herself. She had become a catalyst for change. A moment of reflection. One evening, Ava stood on her apartment balcony overlooking the city skyline. The night was calm, the streets glowing below like a constellation. She reflected on the journey, from being hidden and overlooked to becoming a recognized, respected leader. She thought of Marcus, of the years lost, and of the resilience she had cultivated. And she felt no anger, no bitterness, only a quiet pride in her own strength. She whispered to herself, "I am no longer anyone's secret. I am fully, completely seen." Public recognition. The media continued to highlight her achievements. Magazine covers, podcast interviews, and keynote speaking invitations arrived steadily. Ava's story became an emblem of empowerment, resonating globally. One headline captured the essence perfectly. Ava Reynolds, from hidden wife to global inspiration. Ava smiled when she saw it. This wasn't about fame. It was about validation through action, recognition earned through courage, and the freedom that comes from embracing one's truth. Unexpected partnership. During a leadership summit in New York, Ava met influential philanthropists and industry leaders who were eager to collaborate. She was offered a major partnership with a global consultancy firm, allowing her to expand Reveler Consulting internationally. This partnership wasn't just a career move. It was a statement. Ava was no longer constrained by past fears, by Marcus's choices, or by societal expectations. She was forging her own path on her own terms, with allies who respected her vision and integrity. Marcus's continuing struggle. Marcus, meanwhile, faced a difficult reckoning. The world had moved on without him. His career continued, but the shadow of Ava's brilliance loomed over him. He attended galas, conferences, and networking events, but he could not escape the truth. He had been given a gift, a partner of extraordinary talent and grace, and he had tried to hide her. Counseling, self-reflection, and attempts to rebuild his reputation became his focus. But no amount of effort could reclaim what he had lost: Ava's trust, her presence, or her story. He had learned a hard lesson. Love and partnership cannot thrive under secrecy or fear. Ava's empowerment solidified. Months turned into years. Ava's influence expanded beyond business and mentorship. She became a keynote speaker at international forums, a board member of philanthropic organizations, and a media presence advocating for women's empowerment. She found love again, this time on her own terms, with a partner who respected her independence and celebrated her success. Together, they built a life based on equality, trust, and shared vision, everything Marcus had failed to provide. Legacy. Ava's journey became a story told widely, the woman hidden, underestimated, and overshadowed who rose to create her own legacy. She inspired countless women to demand visibility, respect, and recognition. Her final words at a major conference echoed around the world. Do not wait for permission to exist fully. Stand in your truth. Be seen. Shine unapologetically. Because the world doesn't need you hidden. It needs you in full light. And with that, the story that began with secrecy and suppression transformed into one of empowerment, resilience, and undeniable triumph.